I don't think I've ever looked so pretty filming a video before. Ugh. Hello, fellow plant people. Welcome back if you are returning to my channel, but if you are new, my name is Jen. I go by the Leafy Geek here and also on Instagram. And this is kind of a quick vlog style video. You can see that I am wearing the same shirt as the last video that was posted on my channel. That one is all about trailing plants, so please check that out up there if you haven't seen it already. But I wanted to, so, well, the reason I'm in the same shirt, the reason I'm sweaty, the reason my hair looks like this is because I looked in my converted plant room today and almost lost my mind. I couldn't realize, or I hadn't realized, and I couldn't figure out how it had gotten so unorganized so fast. So I went in and I kind of rearranged some things. I've brought a few more plants in, and I'm kind of getting my lights out and getting set up for seed starting. That's going to be starting in a couple of months here, well, February, end of February. You can never plan ahead too far, I say. So I thought that while I was at it, while I had my camera out, you know, everything is up and running on the trailing plants video, I figured I would just show you what I did. Because I think I have a better idea of how this is going to work and where I'm going to put things, and I'll kind of talk about why there are plants in here right now and where they'll end up going. And I'll also show you a few of my propagations, because I have propagations going right now that I really haven't updated anybody on lately. I think I've done one propagation video on this channel, but I'd like to show you kind of what I'm doing, what I'm rooting, what I'm growing. So it's just kind of a casual, hey, let's see what's going on in this room, and then at my propagation station. So let's go. All right. As I mentioned in one of my plant tour videos recently, this was intended to be a laundry room, but the washer and dryer that had been in here were non-working, and I have access to another washer and dryer here in this building. So it just made sense for me to get rid of the two that were non-functional and create a space in here that was actually more functional for myself. So that is what I did. This is now my plant care room, I would say. So plant care, storage, kind of a repotting setup here. That's the intent anyway. Just gotta get something to kind of cover this shelf here. Seed starting, as you can see by the lights. And also kind of a quarantine station for now. So that's kind of what is going on in here. I've got some plants in quarantine for various reasons, really. A lot of these were outside. Like my ZZ here, philodendron down there, and then most of the plants on this shelf here were outside for the summer. And so I haven't gotten quite around to finishing this yet, but I am treating them and just kind of checking them, checking their soil, checking the leaves, making sure there's no noticeable pests on them, and kind of spraying them with the things to wipe out any stowaways that came in on them. So once I've done that, I'll be able to relocate most of these plants back into my home. That's the intent anyway. If I can find some room for them. I've got some snake plants up there. Those are cuttings from my silver dollar vine. I've got some cuttings from this Tradescantia that I feel like are going nowhere, and that's okay. I don't really mind if they don't. And I've got ponytail palm. Then I've got these two awesome variegated Boston ferns that are surprisingly not dead yet. Don't know how that happened, but they are hanging on, so we're just gonna keep watering them like crazy and misting them every day. We'll see what happens. Down here on this shelf right now, I've got my cacti and succulents that were outside, and I have a feeling that this shelf is going to remain as is for probably most of the winter. I don't have bright enough light for these particular creatures, and I don't have a setup with grow lights that is going to give them the ample kind of amount of light that they need every day. Most of my grow lights are set up in a way where they would be positioned just too far away from the light. So for these, I'm going to have to keep them here for now. I think this is really the best setup I can give them. And honestly, they don't look too unhappy. They've been in here for almost a month at this point, I want to say. Obviously, if I notice any weird stretching or anything going on, I'll probably have to rethink that plan, but I think for now, the plan is to keep these guys, these succulents and cacti, down on this bottom shelf throughout the winter. So that's pretty, as of right now, this is kind of more of a permanent setup for them. These 3 shelves will be for seeds. So that's why these plants gotta move sooner rather than later. There is my Aspidistra Eleator Milky Way, my cast iron plant, which actually grew a lot. I should probably repot this thing. I don't know if I have a pot that's bigger than that one. So this setup, this looks a little cramped, but it's really not too bad. There's enough, room for me to stand and access pretty much everything in this corner on these shelves. As I mentioned, right now, these are kind of quarantine plants. I have found pests on a few of them. For instance, this guy has scale. And some of them just look a little suspicious right now. So I moved them in here to kind of see what would happen. So some of these might be on the way out, unfortunately. But mainly just wanted to kind of remove them, give them some space to rebound or not, and give me the space to be able to try and treat them or troubleshoot them and figure out what's going on. So, yeah, usually I have these grow lights on for these plants on this level, but again, these are probably going to have to move sooner rather than later, so hopefully I can kind of get my act together and treat them and get them out of here. So that's the plan there. So over here, again, this is my ZZ that was outside. It's looking great, honestly. I actually moved this outside this summer because I thought it was on the outs. It was just the leaves were really, really crisping up and not doing well, and then I moved it outdoors, and it actually got caught in a few rainstorms, so it got soaked pretty decently, and now it's loving life. So yay for that. Still have my ZZ. So this shelf, like I had started to say, I want to use most of this top space as kind of a workstation if I'm repotting, if I am up-potting my seedlings when we get there. So that's the plan there. I'd like to hang a grow light under this shelf. These are built-ins. So I'm hoping to do that, install some hardware and get one of these lights up here so I could at least have some seeds, at least a couple of trays, kind of on half this shelf, the back half, And then the front half will leave me plenty of room to work. And then I'm going to try and have lights and seeds on this second shelf here, and then this bottom shelf down here. So obviously all of this stuff is going to have to relocate at some point, but I think a lot of it will go up on this top shelf up here. The second level shelf here has been really helpful for, like, I moved a lot of my soil stuff over here. Obviously you can see I need to restock on my soil supplies, but like my insecticidal soap, I haven't gotten my neem oil out here quite yet, but just some of my plant care stuff that I use whenever I am caring for them. And then this whole section was propagation vessels. So that's a really good segue. As you can see, there aren't too many left on this shelf because they are all currently in use. So why don't we go and take a look at what I'm propagating right now. So here we are. This is my half wall. My office is over there, just beyond. And then this is the half wall that you saw on my fall plant tour that has numerous philodendron on it. I've got a Nepenthes pitcher plant right there and a couple of other goodies. So those are all healthy rooted plants on that half wall right there. But just over here on my breakfast bar, I have all of my propagations, everything that is rooting, because they are cuttings or they are rehab plants that I'm trying to save. So, I mean, cuttings all around, but sometimes I can salvage some of the roots if they're dried out, if I've let something kind of dry out too much, which was the case of this guy. So they kind of rehab themselves in water, which is what, yeah, let's just start at the left here, the left side, and we'll work our way down because there are a ton. I should also mention that this propagation station has changed locations numerous times in my home, and it really is ultimately dependent on how many propagations I have going on at any given time, because I have limited space, and like you just saw, I'm trying to clear out that plant room a little bit, that plant care room that we just stepped out of. So right now, they live on my breakfast bar. It's kind of a spot I don't use that often anyway. Excuses, but that's where they live. So over here, this is Hoya Crinkles Tinkles, or what's left of it. This guy got some pretty significant root rot, so I took 2 cuttings and I'm trying to save what I can. It's looking pretty healthy, and I think that things are rooting in there, which is good. And then this one, there are 2 cuttings in this bottle of my Hoya Bangongoi. And then over here is the rest of the plant. This was the original root ball of that Hoya. And things are feeling really good, recovered nicely. These leaves feel really quite rigid and healthy. These are getting there. Obviously, it needs to root. These cuttings do, but you can see there are roots forming. So all in all, I think that I'm going to be able to save my Bangongoi, which is awesome. I was not thinking that I was going to be able to do that. So fingers crossed for that one. It's one of my favorite Hoyas. So, And then I've got a few cuttings going on of Compacta. I think that there are 2 just regular greens in here, and I think this one technically is variegated. Maybe? Yeah, a little bit of variegation there. So those are rooting pretty well. All right, and then this one it's a fresh cutting. I just put it in there. I'm trying to salvage my Hoya parasitica. It's a casualty. I don't know. It's looking pretty rough, guys. This one maybe is a goner. We'll have to see. Then moving over here, I've got kind of a nice big tray of various, I think most of these are Hoya. So I've got like 4 cuttings of obovata, my Hoya obovata. I'm trying to save this guy too, due to the root rot. But I think all of these have rooted. You can see some roots in there, some roots in there. I think we're on the right track there. My Hoya retusa, trying to rehab this one. This was also a root rot situation. As you can see, I didn't do so great with the Hoya watering this summer. A few of them suffered. This is a cutting of my Crinkle 8 that I am trying to root. And then, yeah, most of these are also rehab. So this rotundiflora, I always forget which way that one is pronounced. And then I've got, this is my Hoya leucardinaziana, which is in rehab mode. This one, Hoya Dasi, MB1219. This is basically a rehab from arrival. It arrived with really terrible roots. It looked really sick coming out of the box when I ordered it, and so I just basically cut the roots off and stuck it in water right away, and it's lived there ever since. So I think soon I will be able to pot that one up. And then this was a piece of my my Cissus disc color that broke off when I unboxed it. So I am rooting it, and it's rooting. Hooray! It was just a really pretty leaf. I was sad to lose, so I tried to root the broken piece, and it's working. Over here, this is my peperomia. I think it's obtusifolia marble. Oh, I've got a sign in there, a little thing. Yes, peperomia obtusifolia marble. And this has lived in here for a while. Peperomia is pretty decent at just kind of hanging out in water, in my experience. And maybe I jinxed myself just now, I don't know. Then I've got a couple of Discidia in here, a piece of jungle cactus. It's a lepismium, I think. And then these, let's see, it's getting kind of dark over here. I checked on my peperomia scandens today and realized that I could just kind of loosely tug on all of these vines and they just kind of plopped out of the soil because the roots had rotted away. And I never watered this thing, so it's a mystery. But we're rooting them now in water. I have really decent success rooting peperomia in water, so that's good. And then I've got a couple of Marble Queen cuttings that I'm hoping to pot up with my big Marble Queen here. This suffered really extensively last winter. It just wasn't in a good setup, and so it lost a lot of vines. So I'm trying to kind of boost that plant's confidence again by giving it some additional cuttings. And then I've got some Cebu Blue cuttings over here from a big plant that is also kind of on the mend. It's looking a lot better now that I kind of got rid of some of its really long vines that were trailing but not producing leaves. So I rooted them in there. And then I also am going to combine those with those Cebu Blue cuttings up there to create a nice full plant again. So those are my propagations. All of them live here, and mainly I keep them all in one place so that I don't forget about them if they're scattered around the home. That was how I very originally did it, was I kept my Hoya propagations with my Hoyas, where I had most of those, and then I kept my peperonia propagations with my peperomia. And I forgot about all of them. So I have learned that it is a good idea to keep them together and to check on them frequently, because their little vessels can dry out quickly, and then you have to basically start over, which is no fun. So wish me luck on these little guys, and hopefully I'll have things kind of cleared out and set for the winter, and then we'll get to seed starting in February. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, night, weekend, weekday, whenever you see this video. Hope you're having a good one. And until next time, enjoy your plants.